Hello, 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 and welcome to Fantasy Football Scout and our World Cup coverage. As always, you're joined by me, Andy, FPL Mode, and we're also joined by the Brazil jersey wearing Gianni. Thank you so much for joining us, Gianni. Obviously, we've got Brazil to talk about, just little old Brazil. Hopefully, we can fill 40 minutes worth of content talking about this historic team.
Yeah, I don't think we'll struggle on that one. Hey
No.
guys, hope you're good. Brazil and World Cups are just when I think of World Cups and some of the classic World Cup memories, I always go back to obviously Italy, but Brazil, like it's the 98 World Cup, which was amazing. I remember the final, it was like Ronaldo was the best player in the world. Will he be on this starting 11 or not? There was a lot of like, will he, won't he, because he had an injury. 2002, like Brazil beat England with that Ronaldinho free
Yeah.
kick. I was in a school hall watching that because it was like early morning.
Yep.
That was just awesome. And then Ronaldo shaved in the crown in his head. It was one of the
Oh,
most bizarre World Cup haircuts. That.
yeah, no, big
But yeah,
time.
it's just all Brazil and World Cups just go hand in hand, and they're one of those teams you always expect in the last stages. You always expect them to go into it as one of the favourites, which is weird because this year they don't go. They go into it as one of the many favourites, but certainly not in the top two, three teams, and that's quite rare for Brazil.
It is very, very rare. And I think we should probably bring that up in terms of this is a World Cup tournament, again, where the timings are all over the place. There's some games that are on at 3 o'clock in the morning, some are on at 5 o'clock in the morning. They're all over the place. But I think that's kind of synonymous with World Cups. Like you just said
Yeah.
there, being in the school hall at 8:30 in the morning, having bacon butties and watching Ronaldinho lob Seaman for however many yards it was. Like, absolutely ridiculous watching that. But that is a memory that stayed with me for the rest of my life. And I think Brazil are one of the only teams in the world that have the ability to do that. They give you a World Cup memory for the rest of your lives, aren't they?
Yeah, they do, and their fans have had to it too. Like the Brazilians travel so well. I was in Qatar and spoke to a Brazil fan that had remortgaged his house to go to the World Cup, and
I
I
love
think
it.
that yeah, like mad. The South Americans travel so well, but I went to Brazil, Switzerland, which was amazing. It was just a bucket list game was to see Brazil in a World Cup, and it was at that stadium with the sea containers. Do you remember it?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
in Qatar, it was an awesome stadium. I can't remember the result. I think it was 1-0. Casemiro scored. Vinny Jr. was electric, and watching him live, by the way, was a privilege. We'll speak about him later in our predicted 11. But yeah, I mean they're just a classic World Cup team, and it's funny because on paper this year they don't go into it as one of the favourites, and they're not as good as they perhaps should be. But we do need to speak about before we even speak about the team. It's their manager because they also go into it with probably the best manager in the competition. Where managers in the World Cup, they're not at the same level as we're used to watching managers in the Premier League or the Champions League, but Ancelotti is one who you would call a sort of top five manager in World Cup football, or sorry, in world football, and he happens to also be managing at the World Cup, and I think that's a real advantage for Brazil.
Oh, massively. I could not agree more in terms of the pedigree he's got. And when you look at the pedigree of some of the other managers, even of some of the big national teams as well, he stands out massively. But I think they need it. I think they
Yeah.
need to have that there because when we talk about Brazil, 20, 30 years ago, it's all about them winning the World Cup. This year, as we did 4 years ago, they let us down. And I think they let us down from a fantasy point of view. I think they let us down from what we expect of them. When you pull out Brazil in your sweepstake at work, you think, yes, I've got a chance here. And obviously it doesn't arise. And what we've got to think about with this tournament is how far do we think Brazil are going to go? Because
Oh yeah.
Ancelotti is a massive factor in this team. They've got one or two superstars in their team, but this isn't like looking back at 2002 where they had superstars all over their team. So what are we expecting from them in this tournament, do you think?
Yeah, I'm still expecting big things because I think they might turn into rather than a team of individuals, which is perhaps what we've seen before. I think Ancelotti will get them as a collective, almost club feel team. And
Yeah.
they're the teams that often really thrive in World Cups. And again, when we talk about man management skills, that's really his forte. That's why he was so successful at Real Madrid when you have all these big egos and managers struggle to match them. Ancelotti seemed to get a lot out of them and create that team ethos. And he obviously did it at PSG and AC Milan and Chelsea. And he's used to managing big personalities, and Brazil have got still plenty of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see them. They've disappointed, as you say, in the last few years. Argentina have dominated South American football. They've won the World Cup, and obviously that pains Brazil fans. But if we're talking about like an advantage to, again, South American teams, a North American World Cup works for them. The conditions in Mexico and in the southern states will be similar to that of South America. And Brazil play Scotland in Miami. That's a huge advantage to Brazil. They'll travel so well. They'll have the 12th man all the time. A possible quarter-final with England, if the routes are how we think the routes could become. We'll know more in a few weeks. Could be really interesting. I don't know who I have as favourites for that. On paper, the bookies would probably have England as slight favourites. But I'm watching that, thinking of that game, and I don't know if I'd feel comfortable saying England are favourites against Brazil in a World Cup. I think it would be a real coin toss game. Yeah, soz. Although when we talk about top managers, it has to be said, England have won too. I mean, Tuchel's won a Champions League. So, it's a really interesting time for Brazilian football, and it's a really interesting Brazil team. I'm looking forward to seeing how they set up, not only their formation but their personnel, because we're going to put together an 11. The 11 we're going to show almost certainly won't be the 11 on match day 1. There'll be one or two that we're just not sure about, so we'll discuss that in more detail. But yeah, I'm buzzing. Brazil will excite us as always.
Yeah, and you've got to factor in the fact that if they're 1-0 down in 70 minutes and Carlo Ancelotti raises that eyebrow, all of a sudden everything just goes up a level, doesn't it? And you've got to back them. And I do completely agree with you. Yeah, exactly. I do agree with you. I think Ancelotti is a big factor in this team. And where we've said already there's not as many superstars as, say, 20 years ago, I think that can only help them. Like, they've got a lot of... They do have leaders in that team, but they've got leaders that will, put their neck on the line for their team. And I think that's maybe what they haven't had before. That's why I was so surprised with the Neymar call-up, because I don't think that maybe fits with what I was seeing.
Yeah. Should we talk Neymar now, or should we hold it? Because I've got some hot takes on Neymar, and I'm really curious to know if what sort of role he's going to play in this squad.
Let's hold it. We'll talk about him in a bit, don't you worry. Yeah. In terms of what we are going to be talking about with this Brazil team, we're going to be looking at the positions. So obviously we've got defensive players, we've got midfielders, we've got strikers. We are going to be talking about rotation. So which players do we think are most at risk of rotation or going to be seeing less minutes for whatever reason? We're going to be looking at a rising star, and Gianni has one in particular that he wants to talk to us about. When we did this for Argentina, he had a brilliant rising star, so I'm looking forward to seeing what his one is for Brazil. We're going to be looking at their fixtures, because obviously I would say they've got quite a tough group. So we're going to be looking at the fixtures and which fixtures in particular to target if you want to jump on triple Brazil at any point. And then we're going to be looking at Gianni's top 3 picks from this Brazil squad. So without any further ado, let's start with their defensive picks. And we have got Alisson in goal at the moment, who played the last game for Liverpool, so he's fit to play for Brazil. 5 million, 5.2% owned. Then we've got Wesley at right back, 4.5 million and 1.2% owned. Marquinhos, 4.1% owned, but 5.2 million. We got Gabriel, 5.5 million, 30.6% owned from Gabriel there. The highest I've seen from a defender doing these preview streams so far. And then we've got Santos at left back, 4.3 million and 0.1% owned. Now, the reason why I'm talking about team selected percentage so much is because they brought in the new rule for this World Cup game, where if a player is under 5% owned at deadline, if they get more than 4 points in their game, they get an extra 2 points. It's called their scouting bonus. So it's basically you trying to get lower owned players to get a bit of a bonus for doing that. 3 of these players are under 5% owned in Wesley, Marquinhos and Santos, but Gabriel in particular will definitely not get that. Alisson's only 5.2, so keep an eye out for him. But when we're looking at this back line and we're looking at Alisson, Gianni, is there anybody that kind of stands out for you? I mean, those wing-backs in particular, both being under 1.2% owned, they do kind of stand out for me.
I've got no interest in Gabriel. I just really don't see it. I mean, yes, he could. Best case scenario is you get a goal. Great, you get an extra handful of points. But that ownership, and the price, go save $1 million and have a chance of the extra 2-point bonus, and you'll get it a couple of times. They need 4 points. I like Wesley if I'm picking a defender here. He nailed his perhaps a bit strong, but he should be first choice right back. Again, Santos at left back. Some might say it will be Alexandro. Bit of a coin toss there. Sandro not the player he once was at Juventus. Now he's back in Brazil. Douglas Santos plays for Zenit. He's a good left back and I think gets the nod just. But yeah, Brazil defenders, will they keep clean sheets? I guess Haiti, but then Scotland and Morocco, you maybe expect both those teams to score, and I'm not so sure. And the fullbacks will get forward. This isn't Cafu and Carlos, but it's Ancelotti lets his fullbacks go, and there isn't out-and-out wingers in this team either. The width will come from the fullback. So I do like Wesley. And then at centre-back, it should be Marquinhos and Gabriel, but don't rule out Bremer. Bremer, when he plays, is someone that just really catches the eye. Again, a Juventus centre-back. He's had injury problems, but Ancelotti will know his game. I think this will be the centre-back partnership. Obviously, Militao is injured and not in the squad. Gabriel Marquinhos should be it, but Bremer will also be in contention.
And the big thing to be said about Bremer, obviously waiting in the wings, is that Marquinhos and Gabriel, their season hasn't finished yet. They've got Champions League final both to play as well. If anything would have happened to either of those, I suppose Bremer is the first one you go to.
Yeah, without doubt.
Do you think Gabriel at 30% is justified? Because
no, I mean, it's not set piece Arsenal, this team, is it?
Exactly. And that's the big thing I was going to bring up, is that, you know, he's had an incredible year with Arsenal, but there's no DEFCON in this World Cup, and obviously he did well for that. It isn't set-piece Arsenal. This isn't Declan Rice throwing it into him. Well, I say throwing it into him, whipping it into him, but there's no... You wouldn't have thought there'd be long throws for this.
If Brazil long throw, I'm rioting. That will just... for any football romantic out there, I'll stop watching the World Cup if Brazil start long
It was just
throwing.
the last straw, wasn't it? But 30% owned for him. I mean, I've spoken about it in a few of these streams now where Premier League bias and FPL bias, whether that's because FPL players are just so keen and they've jumped on this straight away, surely that goes down a little bit. Because 30% on Gabriel, there's no 5.5 million. Yeah.
There's no bonus point system either, not as we know it. And Gabriel does really well in the BPS because he's so good at all of those metrics, similar to DEFCON. The bonus here comes for the fullbacks that are going to be under 5% owned. So go for the extra, get 4 points. If you're sub 5% owned, you get an additional 2. I think if you're going to go for a Brazil defender, go Wesley.
Yeah, I mean, you've already mentioned it though. In terms of the group, they've got a tough group. Morocco at first, who genuinely I think are strong still anyway. With any team with Hakimi in it that pushes them forward, I think is strong.
They pretty much won AFCON, so we know they've got to get there in AFCON. That's a lot of competition. Like AFCON is strong now. It's really. Morocco always there in and around the finals. So
was it Morocco that beat Brazil in the last World Cup?
Oh, I don't know. They did. Morocco did definitely cause an upset, didn't they? Yeah. They were good in Qatar. I'll look now.
And I'm looking at that Morocco game and thinking, for me, that is one of the games of the match day. I think that is an incredible game. And I'm just looking at it and thinking, I'm expecting Morocco to score in that game. Haiti, obviously, in the next game is the amazing game to target for Brazil. But then Scotland in the last one, I mean, you've already mentioned how hot it's going to be in Miami for that game. And I'm looking at that and thinking, obviously, the Scottish people might struggle a little bit. But I'm not seeing the initial, it's in match day 1, the initial clean sheets I'd be wanting for this Brazil team.
Yeah, it's tough. Morocco, you expect them to score. I mean, they topped their group in the last World Cup, which included Croatia and Belgium. Like, they beat Belgium 2-0. Yes. They beat Canada. They drew 0-0 with Spain. Again, that was a really good Spanish team that was close. I mean, Spain ended up losing to Japan, but that was the team that won the Euros 2 years later for Spain. Yeah. And then they beat Portugal in the quarterfinals With 10 men, they beat Portugal. And they lost their semi to France, but we know what France did in that World Cup. So, Croatia got to the Morocco got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. And this is a very similar team that's 4 years, perhaps more experienced and ready to go. So, yeah, given the fact they've got to a semi-final of a World Cup, a final of AFCON, here they are. You've got to think that Morocco-Brazil game could, yes, Brazil are favourites, but not strong favourites.
No. Does that put you off? Because obviously I know you've mentioned to me that Wesley's in your team at the moment. Does that put you off? Do you think there's enough attacking returns against Morocco to justify it?
I made a very slapdash first draft without kind of too much thought and without much chip strategy thought. And some of you would have watched this already on Scout. I think it went out on Thursday. That's not my team anymore. Like, of course, it was, your first draft, probably 7 or 8 are still in. Yeah. But Wesley was one straight away. I just looked at the price point and was like, oh, okay. I knew he'd be lowly owned because no one knows who he is. I was like, great, Wesley's good. So, will I go with a Brazil defender now? I mean, I do see a bank clean sheet in round 2. And then I'll be wildcarding in 3. But I think it's very... I'm probably 50% likely to have a Brazil player in my 11 or in my 15. And I don't know if that will be Wesley. It's probably going to be an attacker.
Yeah, I mean, there's every chance. I can see Brazil finishing second in this group. I can see Morocco top in this group. And I think Scotland, I mean, Haiti's the whipping boys, aren't they? So everybody's going to get 3 points from them, you'd think. And then it's about what happens then, I guess. But owning those Brazil players for the second game definitely looks like the tasty one to go with. And I don't think defenders are who you're going to want to own in that match day 2, because the midfielders, as soon as we bring these up, it starts looking really juicy. So Casemiro and Bruno G we've got that are playing the more defensive role, as defensive as Bruno G can get. But Casemiro's 6.3 million, 1.6% owned. Bruno G's 6.8 million and 2% owned. So they're incredibly similar there. Casemiro, we should mention, has had an amazing season in his last season for Man United. Incredibly good at set pieces as well. He when you've got him and Gabriel in the same Brazilian team, and they're probably two of the best set piece attacking players that we saw in the Premier League last season. But then when you go forward, and I won't talk about that man in the middle yet, Neymar, because he's going to have his own little section. But Rafinha and Vinny, I would say, this is the biggest, for a game that's been so good for pricing, this is the biggest oversight they've had. Vinny at 10 million, 13% owned. Rafinha, 1.8 million less than Vinny. He's 8.2 million, 20% owned. He's on penalties, he's on free kicks, he's on corners. I don't know where that 1.8 disparity comes from. Talk me through Rafinha and Vinny. We will go back to Casemiro and Bruno. But Rafinha and Vinny there, we've got to talk about it, haven't we? 1.8 difference. Rafinha seems to be on everything. I'd even argue Rafinha's the better pick.
Yeah, I mean, if you were pricing them, you would have them at the same price. Like, I'm
Agreed.
shocked that there's this big a difference. And I'm with you. I think it's the only big miss on the pricing. Of course, we shouldn't agree with every price we see, but usually players are within like 0.5 either way, and therefore it's no big deal. This one is a glaring miss, not just because one Rafinha is too cheap at 8.2 million, but he's a glaring miss because we're comparing him with another Brazil midfielder that's going to be highly owned and popular, who happens to be 1.8 more, and they should be the same price. I'd have them both at, say, 9.5. Vinny probably does offer a higher goal threat, but Rafinha, for his creativity and his set pieces, he matches him. So I'm shocked, and I think Rafinha's ownership will skyrocket from 20. I think it's 20 until people really appreciate, if they're only going to go with one Brazil player and end up picking him, and now see him in every content creator's team. Rafinha just feels so obvious now. And it also means Vinny's ownership should probably shoot down, but this is a former Ballon d'Or winner that plays for Real Madrid, so he's going to have high ownership. But I wouldn't be picking Vinny at 10 when Rafinha's... If Rafinha was 9, Vinny was 10, I'd still be picking Rafinha. But he's 8.2. And remember, prices don't move. He's locked at 8.2 now.
It seems mad to me. I mean, the thing is as well, and we've spoken a little bit about chip strategy. I look at Vinny Jr. and just think he is perfect for 12th man in match day 2. 10 million where you don't have to worry about him in your budget. You don't really want him in that really tough game against Morocco when you've got Rafinha there at 1.8 less. And then if you can pick Vinny as your 12th man, and he obviously is then out of your team, he is somewhere different and it doesn't matter about his budget, and he's 10 million. I am struggling to find a world where you would pick Vinny over Rafinha, basically.
Yeah, he's perfect for that chip. You get
Yeah.
Haiti as a fixture. You get a player that you just want for 1 week, and he could go and hat trick against them. And you've got to think that'll be fairly full strength versus Haiti because, especially if they drop points versus Morocco. But it's round 2, not round 3, which is why we love this fixture for Brazil. So yeah, he's going to be in everyone's team. Rafinha probably from the off, and Vidi definitely by round 2. Um, We'll talk about Neymar in a minute, mate, but should we do Casemiro and Bruno G? Because there is a world in which both Fabinho and Lucas Paqueta join that midfield and it becomes a midfield three.
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting because if it becomes a midfield three, and let's say is alongside them, Bruno G, but then becomes an option because he'll be a little bit more creative. Like we saw at Newcastle, he started the season as a DM, and Tonali was the sort of the 8-10 hybrid, and then they swapped, and Tonali became the deep line playmaker, and Bruno G got the license. And when Bruno G is given the license, he can be really creative, and he can get goals as well. So Bruno G definitely one to watch if they play a third midfielder, and that could be Lucas Paqueta. But in a 2, I like him less.
And the thing I struggle with, I think, a little bit with the two of them is, what am I expecting in that Morocco fixture in match day 1? Because I genuinely think that's going to be a tough game. And if Brazil come out of that 2-3-0 winners, I think that sets a stamp on what they're going to be for this tournament. But then I look at that Haiti fixture and think, well, they're not going to be playing Casemiro and Bruno G in defensive roles in that game, are they? Like, you would have thought Bruno G would get forward in that game if that's the case, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they're going to have all the ball. So
yeah,
and again, the fullbacks get forward too. So when you're a kid and you watch Brazil, you never really knew who played where. Unfortunately, football's changed, and there's no teams that really do that anymore. Although maybe Marco Bielsa's Uruguay will show shades of that, which is fun with their man marking system. But I love the idea of Brazil always being the team where you just go, they all can just play anywhere. And if we see even a little glimpse of that under Ancelotti, or we see a little glimpse of that against teams like Haiti, it'll be so lovely because they're just one for the football romantics out there. And any player can pop up with a goal because they're Brazil, right? That's just how we know it. So I'm excited to watch them.
Yeah, I am as well. And when you start thinking about that match day 2 and you start looking at that Haiti fixture, I think you'd regret going with a Gabriel, for instance. Because, as soon as you start looking and thinking, actually, I could have Rafinha, I could have Vinny, I could have one of the strikers we're going to talk about, even Bruno G, if you think he's going to be the one that gets forward and he's only 6.8 and he's under 5% owned as well. If he gets a return and then gets you an extra 2 points as well, I think you're going to start regretting going for one of those central defenders.
Mate, even Gabriel versus Wesley, you're going to regret it in round 2 because when we see them with 75% possession and the fullbacks playing like wingers, whether or not he gets the points, you're gonna see fullbacks so involved in the build up and so involved with the final pass. So I just don't see myself going Gabriel. But again, I'm not sure how many I will own because Morocco is such a hard opening fixture. It might be that we use our transfers or a transfer for a Brazil player in 2 and the 12th man and say Vinny Jr. to get to a triple up.
And it's worth saying as well, obviously, the 12th man, it negates any restrictions you have on how many Brazilians you can pick. So if you've already got 3 in your team, the 12th man can be another Brazilian player. That's absolutely fine. The big call up for Brazil was obviously Neymar. Now, Chelsea fans in particular were shocked that Pedro wasn't called up. I was shocked that he wasn't called up. He's had a good year for Chelsea. Obviously, it's been fits and spurts, but he's had a good year for a Chelsea team that have really struggled. Neymar did get the call up. He has that main character energy. I've put him here in this kind of 10 role because I feel like having Casemiro and Bruno behind you can give Neymar maybe that kind of space to do it. Whether he starts remains to be seen, and we might know a bit more before we get to deadline. I've put Neymar in here. What are you expecting from Neymar in this tournament? Obviously, this is a player who is a generational talent, no matter what people say. He is ridiculously good at what he does. But he could unsettle this team where we're saying maybe one of their biggest strengths is the fact they don't have lots of superstars in it anymore.
Yeah, and just for a player we saw Neymar's reaction to being called up. We've all seen the video, right? I love that Ancelotti just reads it old school, and then he, Neymar's, and his partner burst into tears. But I can't see a world where a player is so close to not being called up, then makes his way into the 11 for round one. Like, I just don't see him being part of Ancelotti's central plans for the
Hmm.
starting 11. I think he'll be brilliant. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he works his way into the 11 because he'll have some cameos and be amazing. But I don't think Neymar on this Brazil team is going to be built round him as it once was. So I don't think he does get in the 11. But we've put him in here because of his popularity and because we need to address him. But also, since we've been recording, Andy, it's come out that it's very likely that Neymar's injury situation is of serious concern, and it's actually worse than first feared. Um, and and he has been ruled out of the friendlies versus Panama and Egypt. So he's not ruled
Oh
out of
wow.
round one, but if he's not playing those friendlies versus Panama and Egypt, then, and this is according to a local journal in Brazil, like this isn't gospel, but
Mm.
let's assume he's got injury issues, and we know he's got injury issues anyway. um I think it's very hard for Ancelotti to be able to build a team around him or even use him in the 11, knowing he might be fit for Morocco and then not for Haiti and then fit again for Scotland but not in the first knockout. The schedule's going to be too tough for him. He's going to become an impact player, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe useful to have around because he's Neymar, right? And he's awesome when he's on it.
But that also makes things very interesting because that means that that position obviously is vacated and somebody else has to come in. And the two other players that we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
either filling that striker role or one of them's going to drop back and somebody else is going to fill that striker role. And it kind of lends us very, very well to now talking about the rising star very quickly, because if Neymar is injured and can't really play, it does leave a little bit of space for your rising star to come in, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Endrick 6 months ago was looking like someone that was nowhere near the World Cup squad. Couldn't get a game for love nor money for Real Madrid. We all saw his potential, and Real Madrid paid a lot of money for him. Goes on loan to Lyon, and in 6 months there, he's just completely lit up Ligue 1. And of course, the standard's not as high, but it's also not bad. And Endrick is really standing out and looking like someone that is going to be the next big thing, which we all thought he was. 5.5 million. He's 1.5% owned. If he's going to start for Brazil as their number nine, then I like it. He is an out and out forward. And when we look at the Brazil squad, they don't have an out and out forward other than Igor Thiago, like an out and out nine. They've got Rayan, they've got Cunha, they've got but Ancelotti likes his number nines staying central. He's always done it. His number nine score goals. He even referred to Calvert-Lewin once as his Inzaghi, and he told Calvert-Lewin, "Don't go down the channels," because Calvert-Lewin always used to run the channels. I just want you in the box. And Calvert-Lewin at Everton for one period of Ancelotti's reign there clocked amazing numbers for once, and he was just tapping them in. And Ancelotti does like that from a nine. Now I don't see Cunha as being that guy. He's
Yeah.
not that number nine. And he can play nine, Cunha, but not the way Ancelotti I think wants to. I think it's going to be Endrick, and if it
Do
is,
you?
5.5 for the Brazil number nine.
Surely, like, so if I show the forward, because we've got Cunha
Yeah.
here at the moment. So
Yeah,
Cunha
yeah.
is 7.3 million, 3.3% owned. Had a very, very good season for Man United in his first season as well. When you're describing who you think Ancelotti would prefer up top there in the way they play, I think you're describing Thiago. I genuinely think you're describing Thiago. He's done it for Brentford all year. Obviously, he's been on penalties, which has helped him an awful lot to stat pad. But
Yeah.
I just think you're describing Thiago more. Cunha
We are.
behind him, Thiago up top.
Yeah, and absolutely, I make no like I absolutely think Cunha is in this 11. By the way, just not in this role on the pitch. I think Cunha could be the 10, or Cunha will be on the left. Maybe it's Vinny down the middle. Like that's an option
Yeah.
too. Remember, you're right in terms of profile for Ancelotti. Igor Thiago would be his guy, but Igor Thiago is simply just not good enough to be in this 11.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It won't. It will be a Vinny down the middle or an Endrick down the middle, or maybe he plays Cunha as a false nine and just goes up on not having that central nine. But it's really interesting because we don't quite know the setup. Vinny Junior could become the nine. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Let's assume Neymar's out, and does he then pick Vinny, Rafinha, and Cunha as a front three in any way, shape, or form, and go for an extra midfielder? And Lucas Paqueta's in this team, or
Yeah.
Fabinho's in this team, or does he keep to the midfield two and a front four, and then introduces an Endrick? And I'm kind of 50-50 there, and maybe it'll be opposition dependent. Against Haiti, you only go with Casemiro, Bruno G, but against Morocco, you do play a Lucas Paqueta or a Fabinho for an extra midfielder, and then you have Cunha off the left, Vinny down the middle, or Cunha false nine. But yeah, Cunha in his own right is a good pick because he's going to be on the pitch.
I think you've got it right there. I think against Morocco, it's the three in midfield.
Yeah,
I genuinely
sense.
do, especially if you've got those attacking wing backs as well. The ability for those three to slot back in, I think, works really well. And I think Morocco is the toughest game. I mean, Morocco could be the toughest game they've got, even up until round of 16. It could be the toughest game. And I look at it and think playing those three in midfield would make an awful lot of sense, especially to have another defensive minded one where Bruno can get forward when he needs to. I think that makes sense. Whereas against Haiti, I could see Endrick starting against Haiti. I do just think what you've just said there. I mean, 4 years ago it was Richarlison up top, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Richarlison playing up top for them, and I would have
Who
completely
again stays central,
scored
taps
goals
in like that's
Yeah.
that's what Ange.
He scored an overhead
again,
kick,
it's not
didn't he?
good enough.
In the
Yeah,
groups.
he did, yeah.
And I'm looking at that and thinking, is that the Thiago role? Is that what Thiago's going to potentially do for him? I wouldn't have said Richarlison was good enough back then. He was still at Everton, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it and thinking, actually, with Cunha maybe then dropping back, obviously your rising star is Endrick, where you think he could, this could be his tournament where he really comes through. I don't know. I'm not sure. If we see it different in the friendlies, and Endrick starting, I think he's a fantastic pick. But I do worry that with Thiago there as well, and Cunha with the ability to play up top, I don't know. I worry a bit about that one.
And Vinny, it's that Vinny down the middle and Cunha on the left, because that's where Cunha plays for United. It's where we've got Vinny here, so they could just swap.
And Cunha, by the way, on the left, his ability to cut in and shoot with his right foot is unbelievable, and he scores so many goals doing that.
I think that's it. I think they might just do that. They might just play Vinny central because Endrick's raw and inexperienced and not being necessarily the right profile, but. At the same time, I'm like, for easy opposition, if we do get an Endrick at 5.5 million as a number 9 for Brazil, starting games, he'll break the game. So, it's interesting, especially now with the Neymar injury as well. I mean, we always knew Neymar was going to have injuries early on. We just didn't know necessarily it was this bad. And
can I just say as well, if we get any indication in the friendlies that it's going to be Thiago up top, that game against Haiti, I mean, he is going to skyrocket in ownership, even though it's against Morocco. He's going to skyrocket because he's played in the Premier League. People know who he is, scored 22 goals in the Premier League. And obviously, FPL as well, he was popular. He's going to skyrocket in ownership. You can see it, can't you?
Yeah. And even against Scotland, he might go, I'm going to play the number 9 that's... And let's say Brazil have beaten Morocco and Haiti. They're going to the Scotland game wanting to play the B team. I could see Thiago playing that one and going, playing against a physical Scottish team that's more sort of Premier League based players, and it could work then too. It's still up in the air for some of these spots. There's no banker. There's no guaranteed 11 here. That's what makes Rafinha so appealing, and Vinny, to be fair, and even Cunha. I think Cunha at 7.3 million is cheap. Yeah. I prefer to go Cunha over Vinny just on given the price points. That's a huge difference for two players that will be in the 11 one way or another.
Do you think, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about fixtures now, do you think that Morocco fixture is stopping these players from going up in ownership? Because we've got other teams like, for instance, Spain or Germany who have got ridiculously easy fixtures in their group, especially in match day 1 and match day 2. Brazil have that amazing fixture in match day 2, but they arguably do have the hardest match day 1 fixture for all of the elite teams. Do you think that's what's stopping them getting more ownership? And do you think planning on getting your Brazilian players in for match day 2 is the way to do it?
I think it has to be. If you're willing to gamble and just back Brazil to win, but I don't think I'm willing to do that because It's such a tough game. Seeing what Morocco did in the last World Cup, we've just read through some of their results. Like they've been super impressive, and they are an impressive outfit. And I think there might be a lot of fans that perhaps underestimate Morocco and just see a
Yeah,
team and
agreed.
perhaps don't know how good they are. There'll
Hmm.
be some, especially some more casual fans that perhaps don't do their research or aren't engaged and not watching videos like this that might assume Morocco aren't very good, and they'll be wrong. So I don't think it'll affect the ownership hugely because there will be a lot of managers that just go Brazil really good, Morocco really bad. Let's and they've got Haiti after that. But for us, really engaged crowd, yeah, I think we're going to struggle to commit to Brazil in a big way because of that match day one fixture.
Yeah, and it does seem nice to be able to maybe Brazil struggle in that game. Maybe they get the win, but they struggle, and then you jump on all their players. I mean,
Yeah,
you could easily do that with some of the ways. And like I said, 12th man Vinny in match day 2, we will be there. Let's
yeah.
have a look then at your top 3 picks from Brazil. We've done this. I'm doing it with everybody for the previews, and I think it's quite fun. Start us off with number 3. Who is your third favourite pick from Brazil?
I'm gonna go Endrick because I think he
Ooh.
get. And now I know there's only a 50% chance in my head he's going to be a Brazil starter, but because Neymar's not going to be, in my opinion, there is a spot available. Whether that becomes a midfield spot, as we've discussed, or an attacker spot, I don't know. But Endrick's got as good a chance as Lucas Paqueta, Fabinho, better, I think, than Igor Thiago. I like Hendrick because he's so cheap. And if we get a Brazil attacker at 5.5 million, it's a joke. So I'd go for him at 3. But let's see what happens in the warm-ups. See who Ancelotti wants as number 9 in those warm-up games.
Yeah.
At number 2, I'm going to go for a defender because I do think Brazil will keep clean sheets. I do think Morocco's so tough though, but Haiti, Scotland, they've got a chance, and then even in the knockouts, I think Wesley might become an option for us, and I think he'll remain under 5%, which is great. And we want that bonus, and I think they'll score lots of open play goals, and he'll have some assist chances. And then 1 is just so clear. Like I think
Yeah.
the price is just a joke. As we said, it's the only one they've got wrong. Rafinha will be in.
Yeah, I do agree. I think
It,
and you can tell that it's a mistake with the pricing when it's so easy to pick him as number 1. Like, there's not even a debate here, I don't think, in terms of who the best Brazilian player to buy is. Like, with the fact that he's on penalties, free kicks, and corners as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is he a lock for you though?
No,
No,
not
for
for
match day 1. Yeah,
No.
same for me. He's a lock for. I'll have him in my team in 2. Like he'll be a transfer in. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'll have him in 1. I might start with him. I don't like booking too many transfers in, and against Morocco he can still do it. But yeah, he's going to be in my team.
It's
Very.
not,
I think I'll probably start with him, but he's certainly not a lock.
it's not like you even massively have to plan in terms of funds moving to him in match day 2, because you've
Yeah,
probably got another midfielder that's around his price,
yeah.
and you
Go
can just easily move to him. And like I said, Vinny then becomes
Pedri.
your match day 2. Yeah, and then Vinny becomes your match day 2 12th man when you're not having to worry about his budget. So I do think it's a massive oversight, especially with no price changes. I think it's big.
Yeah, like I look at the Spanish midfield. Let's say Yamal's out, and we're looking at say Spanish midfielders. Someone like a Pedri is 8.1 million. Like Pedri is the same price as Rafinha. Pedri's not going to get anywhere near Rafinha's points over this World Cup.
No.
But for match day 1, Pedri's great. But then what a great placeholder you've got then for Rafinha and bookmarking in a transfer.
Yeah, exactly. Right, very, very quickly then, before we finish, because we've still got a couple of minutes. How many points do you think Brazil are going to get in their group? So what are they going to finish their group with, and where are they going to finish?
I'm going to go draw Morocco. I think they beat Haiti, and I think they beat Scotland just.
So 7 points?
I'm going to say 7, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 5 if they drew with Scotland.
So do you think they'll draw with Morocco? Because I think Morocco will
Yeah.
beat Haiti and Scotland.
Yeah, yeah.
So both on 7, and then you think, what, Brazil go through because they annihilate Haiti?
I think Brazil score more versus Morocco.
Yeah.
The Morocco, yeah.
So
yeah.
you're hoping for that Brazil-England
I
quarterfinal?
love Brazil-England quarterfinal. It'd be so fun to watch that. I really like. We don't have many big games in the groups. This is, as you say, this is the biggest of round 1 in terms of top team versus top team, Morocco, Brazil. But as soon as the knockout stage, as a neutral fan watching, I just want to see the best teams play the best teams. I want that, and Brazil-England will be amazing.
Yeah, it will. I mean, to be fair, if it gets to that point, I'm assuming you'll be still wearing your Brazil shirt for that game, though, will you?
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. Yeah, exactly.
I won't be wearing. I wouldn't wear a Brazil shirt for that game. Certainly not in public. But I wouldn't even wear it at home. But I honestly would go into that game not caring about the result. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel it. And many say, why doesn't that English bloke support England? And that this is a video for another day. But when you've been just to combat those that are commenting that right now, when you've been brought up watching football with one person, and for me that was my dad, and that one person is Italian and only supports Italy and only supports AC Milan, like you're just going to follow in those footsteps. So yeah, I just don't have a emotional connection, despite living in England all my life, with the England team. But of course, I'd be happy for so many of my mates if England do win. And of course, there's English players I absolutely adore. I would love to see Reece James win a World Cup. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, let's see. Well, thank you so much for joining us again today, Gianni. Obviously, you've done Argentina with us, and now we've done Brazil. We are carrying these on, so make sure, I think there's 6 that I'm doing of these. So there's going to be all the top teams that we're doing. There's so much on the Scout website, so make sure you have a look at all those articles. Make sure you have a look. I think there's over 20 videos we're doing before the World Cup kicks off, so make sure you have a look at them. I'll be back on with Tom at some point doing my team reveal. We'll also be doing his team reveal as well. Gianni, thank you so much again. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, mate, it was great chatting, and thanks for everyone if you've got this far. The Scout content looks amazing this World Cup. I'm also going to be putting out videos aplenty on my channel, so if you want more biased views and me working in Italian names where I can, then come follow me on my channel too.
Lovely stuff. And make sure you like and subscribe, because obviously it helps. So thank you so much for all of you. We'll be seeing you again for the next preview. Bye-bye.